The rain is giving me frizzy hair, and there ain't nothing we can do about it. All we can do is accept and rally. Instead of puke and rally like I used to do in my early 20s, we just accept. We just accept and rally. Anyways, not the point of the video. We have some more wedding nightmares. The happiest day of your life, I guess not so happy. The first story we are checking out today is titled, "Am I the a-hole for ruining my sister's wedding after she tried to charge me rent for attending?" Like a cover fee? You have to pay cover to enter this wedding? That's crazy. So this happened yesterday and my entire family is blowing up my phone, so I need an outside opinion. My sister, 28 female, got married this weekend. She's always been extremely type A and obsessed with aesthetics. Everything had to match her sunset, lavender, minimalistic, boho vintage theme or whatever. About 3 months ago, she asked me, 26 male, to be a groomsman. I said sure. Then she sent a 27-page PDF titled Wedding Participation Agreement. I thought it was a joke, but it was not. Oh, absolutely not. No, thank you.
Thank you, no.
No, thank you.
I will be a guest. All good over here. That's crazy. Some highlights. I had to dye my hair brown because my natural red hair clashed with the color palette. I had to lose 15 pounds before the wedding so that I would look cohesive in photos. I had to pay $600 for a custom suit that she picked, even though we were only wearing it for like 6 hours. I sucked it up because my mom said that it would mean a lot to her. Fast forward to last week when she sent me a Venmo request for $150 labeled guest venue contribution. I dare someone to send me that.
Challenge accepted.
No.
I asked what that meant, and she said the venue was expensive, so all guests should help cover it since we are benefiting from the experience. I refused because number one, I already paid for the suit. Number two, I already bought them a $200 gift. Number three, I drove 5 hours to attend. She said if I didn't pay, I could still come, but I would have to sit at the observer table. The observer table was literally in the corner next to the bathrooms with a sign that said non-contributing guests. Please tell me this isn't real. Please, for the love of God, there cannot be humans out there like this in this world. Please. I refuse to believe it. Well, there's also serial killers. So here's where things went wrong. During the reception, she started giving a speech thanking everyone who supported the wedding financially. Then she gestures towards my table and says something like, "And thank you to those who at least showed up." Everyone turned and looked at us. So I stood up and I said, "I would have contributed, but you spent it all on a drone that's been stuck in a tree for 3 hours." Which was true. Apparently, the videographer's drone had crashed into a tree earlier and they were trying to fish it out with a ladder. The groom climbed the ladder to get it while everyone was staring, and the ladder tipped over and he fell on the cake table. The cake collapsed and someone's dog, which wasn't supposed to be there, ran through it. Now my sister says I sabotaged the wedding. My mom says I should apologize because the groom had frosting in his hair during the first dance. But I feel like if you publicly shame your guests, you kind of deserve to get called out. So, am I the a-hole? Listen, that entire thing, document, everything that was expected, absurd. Absurd. In what world are we living that people are treating their wedding day like some kind of entitlement? I am beside myself and I'm freshly engaged, okay? And I see your comments. You guys are like, don't let these wedding stories like stop you from having the wedding of your dreams. I get it and I won't. But the wedding of my dreams will look nothing like that. Let me tell ya. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother and sister-in-law not to come to my wedding? This story came March 20th, 2026. Hello, I'm having a destination wedding and I'm getting married in Vienna, Austria. The wedding is small, 50 people and child-free. I've already spoken to everyone who will be invited who have children, and all have confirmed they are coming and leaving their kids at home. The problem is my brother and sister-in-law. My niece will be 5 when the wedding takes place, and they have said they refuse to leave her for a week, let alone for a few days. My sister-in-law refuses to let anyone but my mom babysit. She doesn't trust anyone and refuses to go away without her. They have never spent time as a couple without her. I don't care, that's their personal choice. When I told them that they would have to find accommodations for my niece during the wedding, my sister-in-law freaked out. She said my niece was coming no matter what. I said she is not invited to the ceremony, the reception, and I won't have her around the wedding party at the hotel that we are paying for. The guests are only paying for their plane tickets. The day of, if she brings her, that they will have to find another hotel or at the very least a sitter over there for the night of, which again, she freaked out about and said nope, and how my mom could just babysit her, but not a random person. Mom's gonna be at the wedding, so not gonna work.
Oh, for God's sake, Judy, pick up the sock! Pick up the sock! Pick up the sock!
For context, they refuse to set boundaries with my niece. They allow her to do what she wants, whenever she wants. She screams constantly because she doesn't get her way. And at my cousin's wedding, she was very disruptive and even stood in front of the groomsmen during their speeches and interrupted. My brother and my sister-in-law did nothing. I refuse to deal with her at any point of our very expensive day that we are paying for. Since they refuse to compromise or be reasonable, I told them, well, then just don't come. My parents and them are now calling me unreasonable and saying I should make an exception for my niece, which isn't going to happen. So now everyone is calling me an a-hole. So, am I the a-hole for telling them to stay home and not come if they can't come without my niece? I want to hear from people, especially people who do destination weddings, because obviously that adds another layer to a wedding, but also they're paying for it for their guests. You're paying for everyone's room? Oh, damn.
Damn.
Let's see what the people of Reddit are saying. Someone commented and said, you're not the a-hole, but I don't get why you don't want her at the hotel. Sister-in-law can stay with her during the ceremony. OP wrote back and said, we know them enough to know that they will be going back and forth the entire time, and worse, they will make my mom take care of her like they do anytime and every time we are all together. My mom will not enjoy the wedding and she can't say no to them, so I just don't want my niece around. They will also try to sneak her into the wedding, so since they don't respect my boundaries, it's a no from me. Next comment. I think it's a big ask for someone to watch your kid for a week while you are out of the country, especially if she's a handful. Truthfully, I would feel insulted that you didn't want my child at the same hotel. That being said, they shouldn't insist that she's coming if you said no kids. If they can't make arrangements for someone to be with your niece at home or at the wedding, then they should not attend. Okay, I can see both of those points there. OP said, I told them if they pay for the room and we find a sitter for the wedding day and night, it's totally fine. She still refused. In other words, she wants my own mother to take care of my niece like always. They might even try and sneak her into the wedding because they don't respect boundaries. I would rather she not be there. They can also come for 2 days instead of a week. They would be choosing to be there for a week. That makes sense. They could just go out there for 2 days for the wedding, but they would be going for a week because obviously you make a little bit of a vacation for it. I get it. Next comment. So why don't they bring one of her sisters or her mom and have them babysit? OP said they can't afford it. That's an extra plane ticket for them. We are taking care of all costs other than plane tickets. Next comment. This is what a compromise could look like if you were willing to contribute to the extra ticket and a hotel room. If you want your brother to be at your wedding and sister-in-law won't stay home with your niece, it might be the best option. At least it's trying. OP wrote back and said, so we also discussed it. My brother won't come without his wife and wife won't come without their daughter. They don't want anyone to babysit except my mom. They don't want to come for 2 to 3 days either instead of a week. They don't want a babysitter there. Everything I suggest is all just a no. Next comment. Question. Do you like your sister-in-law in general? If not, can that be factoring into your stance on the situation? She said, we are actually close. She's been in my life for over 20 years. I love my brother too. We also see each other every other week. Does sister-in-law allow any members of her family to babysit? That's actually very interesting that you're close with her, because reading it, you might guess that you're not that close with her, but interesting. Next comment, does your sister-in-law allow any members of her own family to babysit? If not, why? OP said yes, her sister and her brother on several occasions when she's desperate. And lastly, this is what OP said on room accommodations for the wedding. She said, we are paying for the room accommodation for 2 people per room. Simple rooms with queen beds for everyone. It's not unreasonable to say if they need a bigger room, then they can foot the bill, as it was not in our original plans. And it doesn't change the fact that my niece will be there and someone will have to watch her, and my sister-in-law will find a way to include her in everything, and she will bring her to the wedding. So that is why I told them not to come. We have an update. Let's see how this all unfolded. The next update came 3 days later. We're at March 23rd. So we had our usual Sunday family dinner with my parents, my fiance, my brother, sister-in-law, and niece. My sister-in-law finally said to me and my mom that they won't be able to attend due to financial reasons, to which I said I understand completely, and they will be missed, but no hard feelings. My mom then tried to get me to have the wedding near home, to which I said no. But then my brother comes upstairs to tell us he's going to Portugal to play golf in October with my dad and some friends, no wife or daughter, and that it's been decided today. For context, my wedding is in June. All this after my niece played soccer in the house against glass doors, threw a screaming fit when told to stop, threw soccer cones at my fiance's head 3 times before my brother finally intervened, and we spent the entire supper hearing my niece bang plates, scream at everyone for attention, singing at the top of her head, and everyone constantly stopping to give her attention. As much as I think they are being selfish by going on one trip but not my wedding, and how they are doing this because my niece isn't invited, I am somehow still relieved that they won't be there. Well, then I guess you got your happy ending. You don't need our advice. It all worked out anyway. You guys would be shocked. I'm wearing jeans today. I never film in jeans. That's crazy. I'm always in sweatpants or pajama pants. But we got a busy day, so I sat down to film. I gotta go after this. Apparently I don't have time to change my pants. Oh, that's good. Always a good time. We've got more stories, but I need a sip of water, and so do you. Hydrate. Cheers. I always keep you guys updated about auditions. So remember how I auditioned for a TV series that's on a network? I don't know if you remember that. I was brought in for 2 roles. Well, apparently I didn't get them, because when I was in Arizona last week, I got a new audition for the same show, same season, but a new role, a different one, which obviously means I wasn't right for the other 2 roles. But the casting director might have liked what I did, because she's bringing me in for a 3rd role. I filmed the audition in Arizona, like right away, so I could get it in. So now we wait. The journey's not over. This happens all the time. This is exciting. Next story. I'm a groomsman in a D&D themed wedding, and my ex is trying to get me kicked out. This story came March 19th, 2026. 4 years ago, I was dating a girl, let's call her Claire. We were hosting her newly engaged friends over for a game night, drinking and having a really great time. She wanted to be a bridesmaid at the wedding really badly, and they said yes, and then asked me if I wanted to be a groomsman so that we can keep the bridal party even. Shortly after that game night, Claire and I broke up. We dated for 4 years. She left me for someone else. She moves out that week and we go our separate ways. Years go by, I have moved on. Me and the engaged couple fall out of close contact and we check in every year or so. Each time we talked about the wedding, and each time the groom says that I am still invited to be a groomsman. After 4 years, they finally have a date to the wedding. The bridal party is invited to a Discord, or we start introducing ourselves. I begin working on a custom armor piece piece for the groom to wear during the ceremony, and I am getting measurements, inspiration, etc. After a couple weeks of working on this project, I just got a call from the groom. I get a phone call from the bride and groom telling me that my ex, Claire, is going to be the best man at the wedding and she doesn't feel comfortable with me even being at the wedding. And if I go, she will have to step out. I'm a little hurt by this, but mostly confused. After my nasty breakup with Claire, the bride and groom told me that they wouldn't kick anyone out of the wedding because someone doesn't like them. They would kick out the person who had asked them to kick someone out. However, times change and it's been almost 4 years since we have really hung out as friends. I told them I am still very excited for the wedding and they offered me another role as a groomsman. The groom made it clear he was a man of his word and he was going to keep me as a groomsman. So now I am running their foam sword tournament. Oh. Instead of a dance floor, they will have foam swords for the guests to play with and a tournament after the ceremony, but before the reception. This all happened months ago. I have not made 30 foam swords and 15 buckler-sized shields with the bride and groom's heraldry, in addition to finishing the groom's pauldron. I'm very proud of my work, but I've spent $400 on materials and 50 hours of labor working on this huge undertaking. My apologies if things in the D&D world are said falsely. Said falsely. That's not it. Said wrong. If I have said words wrong, I'm sorry. Clearly, words are a struggle for me. This leads me to a few days before the wedding. I had a few spare shield blanks and I wanted to make custom shields for the other groomsmen. That is when I saw that someone removed me from the Discord and I'm no longer considered a groomsman. Disappointed and being foolish, I asked the groom about it and expressed that I'm worried that I'm going to be ignored at the wedding and treated poorly by my ex. He reassured me that I am still a groomsman. The chat that I was referring to was organized by Claire and my removal was because that channel was for the bachelor party activities and apparently I wasn't invited. This whole mess has made me feel anxious for the last few months, and at this point, I just want the wedding to be over. I haven't seen Claire in years, and I'm worried about the antics that she's going to try to pull. I've put a lot of effort into this wedding, and I've been looking forward to the theme for almost half a decade. I don't want to be bullied or isolated because someone takes pleasure in hurting me. The wedding is coming up, I'm packing my car, and I'm cleaning up my armor. I'm excited and anxious at the same time. Let's see what happens. I'm very curious how this wedding is actually going to go, given everything you just said. We have an update that came the very next day, March 20th. Claire is out of the wedding. I have no details. She disavowed the groom as a friend and blocked him on all social media. That's all I know. I just got back from the rehearsal dinner and I just got to hang with the bridal party. They were all so extremely kind and nice. Tomorrow is the big day. I am absolutely speechless. I think Claire left because groom kept you as a groomsman. And she said she was, she was trying to get you kicked out. So she probably left because you weren't kicked out. We have another update 2 days later, March 22nd. Let's see how the wedding went. I just got back in town from the wedding. The wedding went extremely well. I was included in the wedding party for the photos, sat with the other groomsmen at the dinner, and had the spotlight after the ceremony to run the tournament for the guests. The wedding party and guests alike were impressed by my effort and inquired about my setup. Because there was no dance floor, the tournament area was the hangout spot. People picked up the swords and played with them, and the kids went wild. The bride and groom did not know that I was gifting them the swords and shields after the wedding. They thought I was going to keep them and use them for my own hobbies. For those who asked, I don't normally use boffers. I am in the SCA, so I had no use for foam swords after the wedding. I have no idea what any of this means. As for Claire, at the end of the night, the groom came to thank me for everything. He offered to host a game night and cook for me and my significant other. This was my only opportunity to ask about Claire, and this is the story I got. Allegedly, at the bachelor party, they went on a bar crawl at some of the local tiki bars in the area. At some point, the groom gets pretty smashed, falls and trips, and breaks his ribs. He is then taken home by a friend and wakes up in a bathtub. Allegedly, Claire created a stage, hired dancers and choreographed a D&D themed burlesque show. But the groom never made it in the show because he was taken home from being wasted with a broken rib. She was so angry at him for missing the show that she terminated her friendship with him. She blocked him on all social media. She accused him of caring more about alcohol than their friendship. Mind you, he's not an alcoholic. I say allegedly because after the third bar, the groom was blackout drunk and remembers nothing. The rest of the night's details were from the other groomsmen or outside parties informing the groom of what happened. I don't buy this story for a second, except for his broken rib. I had broken ribs before, and he was showing identical symptoms throughout the wedding, like randomly stopping to breathe, wrapping his ribs with a compress, or bracing his sides when laughing. What I don't believe is how your best friend of 10 years goes through all the effort of planning a bachelor party and then blocking you seemingly overnight. I understand being hurt, but not disavowing your best friend right before his wedding. Something is off about the story. How did he break his ribs? Why would Claire just drop him so easily? He claims he didn't drink enough to be blackout, so I don't know. All I know is that something is off. Edit. Clearing up what Claire's role in the wedding was supposed to be. She was originally supposed to be a bridesmaid back in 2022 when the engagement happened. After the 4 years, she became the best man at the wedding. They became best friends within that time frame. Got it. I don't know what to make of this story. I agree, like, even if she was furious, like, you got too drunk, I planned this whole thing, you didn't even make it there. I understand, sure, being frustrated, whatever, but to just, like, leave the wedding right before, unfollow and block on like, that does seem very extreme. Plus, the groom was really drunk. And maybe the groomsmen were also drunk. Who sober can tell us what the hell happened? Next story. Neighbors accusing me of trying to ruin their wedding because of their error. I live in a large courtyard building, which includes multiple numbered addresses inside the courtyard. Let's say the addresses range from 119 to 135 Main Street. I also rarely receive mail, so I don't check my mailbox unless informed delivery notifies me, and I don't normally go into the courtyard or use the front door because the back is just closer to everything. Last fall, I opened my mailbox and I found a stack of return to sender sticker envelopes with the return address of 121 Main Street. The envelopes were dark eggplant with a dark gold writing in a very small fancy font, so I could see how it could be mistaken for 131 Main, but it was very hard to read. I brought the envelopes over to the other addresses and I buzzed them to deliver. The neighbors are an engaged couple. The envelopes were their save the date cards, and the future groom even admitted that some of their family members were complaining that theirs were misdelivered because of the color font combination. The future bride said that I would have to check more often once their wedding invites went out. I gave her a look and I said, yeah, that won't be happening. You should probably just get this fixed. And the future groom made some, oh yeah, we'll do that comments, so I thought it was just all taken care of. Fast forward to last week. I checked my mailbox and there was a huge stack of wedding invitations that were returned to sender because these dingbats decided to keep their eggplant and gold color palette along with the world's smallest swirly font, and the mail carriers apparently could not deliver a lot of them. I brought them over. Future bride smirked at me and said, I knew you would bring them over, like I'm her personal mail carrier. I told her that I'm not available to do that anymore, and she started overreacting and very dramatically said how I'm jealous and she won't let me ruin her wedding. Jealousy over what, ma'am? I am anticipating a flood of response cards in the coming weeks, and I may decide not to open my mailbox until June. Edit. To be clear, I am not annoyed because I would need to walk 20 yards to their door to drop off their mail, or leave them in a box inside my locked vestibule by our mailboxes. What is irritating is that this couple was presented with a problem of their own making for an event that they are planning, are concerned about, and it has nothing to do with me. When notified about this problem well in advance of the second mailings of wedding invitations, and that I am quite often not around to continue to bring any misdirected mail in a timely manner, planner, future bride's initial response was that I should change my routines and become more available to them to fix their problem. After several months, when they could have come up with a solution, for example, in keeping with their color scheme, they could have found gold address labels and had the addresses legibly printed using a non-ridiculous and more readable font to put over the previous addresses on the envelopes if they were pre-printed and couldn't be updated. But their solution was to simply do absolutely nothing other than expect me to cater to them. And the rude and condescending attitude from the future bride the second I went over there was completely inappropriate. That is not how you treat someone when you're asking them to do a favor, no matter how small. I mean, he came up with some pretty clever ways to fix the whole address thing. I'm not sure why they would just keep everything the same. For something so important of getting a wedding invitation out there, wouldn't you want it to get to the right address? You know, I don't know. I'm very confused why no change was made after that. Well, let me know your thoughts and feelings on this one, you guys. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. I'll see you tomorrow.